Okay, welcome to Aromatic Ingredients Flavor Applications, Chapter 5. We can talk about Flavor Regulatory Framework, Okay, for the regulatory standards, for currently the consumers are demanding more and more of natural products, as I mentioned previously, they actually place a spotlight on the issue consistent regulatory standards across the global food and beverage ingredient industry. Okay, what this means, right, is that the global is pushing for more and more natural products. So they need a standardized the regulations to regulate because the food product is going the whole world. Okay, so when the consumer are demanding for the natural products, there needs to be a regulatory standards that actually can to strengthen the whole global system, okay, rather than just a particular area, because the US product may send to the Europe may send to US or maybe Malaysia and so forth. So they need to have a consistent regulatory standards, okay, rather than individual. The issue is not so much of a lack of regulatory bodies. We got a lot of regulatory bodies, as you can see down here, okay, is due to a different level of classification. That is one of the tricky part, because of different level. Okay, FDA may have certain sort of like standards, okay, or definitions. Then FEMA got different. FEMA is actually with the FDA. The European Food Safety Standard in the Europe may be slightly different. Okay. So at the moment there's no universal regulation for food and beverage here. Okay, so if just say that you want to send a product from Europe, manufactured in Europe, to US, they need to look at the standards of the US. Okay. So what we have, right, is the Food and Drug Administration is the main regulatory bodies of the US. Okay, that tie down very closely with FEMA. Okay. The European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, is the main regulatory body for Europe. Okay, other industry government bodies that work on creation of the regulation for food safety and quality standards, such as Flavors and Extract Manufacturer Association, FEMA, the Food Chemical Codex, FCC, the Joint FAO and WHO Expert Committee on Food Additive, JEFCA, and the Council of Europe's Index System. Yeah, so there are actually a lot of the regulatory bodies. Okay, the FDA is with the FEMA is really work very closely with FDA. Okay, and so forth. Yeah, so there are a lot. So the question now is how different are they? Okay, so the next slide is looking at how different are they between the US and the Europe, because they are these two actually is the main regulatory system here. Okay, the US and the Europe. Yeah. So most global bodies follow the lead of either the US or the EU when determining if a flavor is natural. Okay, although US and EU regulatory requirements are very similar, they do have a bit of difference. Okay, for the US, as long as they are essential oil, oleo resin, essence or extractive, okay, protein hydrolysate, distillate, or any other product of roasting, heating, or enzymologies. Okay, so all these are basically from the cooking process, okay, or natural processes. Okay, as long as they are categorized in this, they are considered natural. For EU, the source material must be from the all the plant-based vegetables, animals, or microbiologicals, must be produced by a traditional food preparation processes, like cooking, enzymatic, fermentation of these products. Okay, so as long as it's within this, then you'll be more or less you follow for the US, okay, or the EU. Okay, then you can define as the natural. Okay, I give you a very simple examples. Okay, for vanilla flavor. So you guys know what is vanilla flavors, right? Okay, if the vanillin is extracted directly from the vanilla beans, okay, extracted directly from vanilla beans, so both the US and Europe regulatory bodies allow a natural claim. So you can claim the final products. When you extract out, you can claim that as a natural. vanilla extract is subjected to fractionation distillations. Okay, it's still from vanilla beans. You extract out by using a slightly different methods. It's called fractionation distillation. You fractionate through the distillations to isolate vanillin components. The labeling on consumer may be indicated as natural vanilla flavor. So again, you can indicate natural as long as you get from the vanilla beans. Okay, if vanilla beans is made using the ferulic acid, okay, through the fermentation process, these ferulic acids, right, you can get from coffee beans, apples, orange peels, and so forth here. So these ferulic acids you can get from these materials. When these ferulic acids undergo fermentation process, you actually can produce vanillin. So again, if it's through this process, you can claim it as natural. Okay, in both the US and the Europe. Okay, another process, if you other starting materials can also be converted to vanillin, yeah. Okay, although like lignin, okay, lignin you also can find from the natural products, okay, from the plant cell wall and so forth. But if you get the vanillin, okay, using chemical processes, okay, you convert through chemical processes. For example, using alkaline and oxidizing agents, okay, to create a synthetic version of this. As long as you use a chemical process, then in this case you need to label it as artificial or synthetic vanillin. Okay, so chemical processes, although the ingredient is sort of like from natural sources, okay, from plant-based, but if you undergo chemical process, that's it, artificial synthetic vanillin. Okay, so it's very different. Chemical process, this is fermentation process. Fermentation is natural, okay, to the natural traditional cooking or the processing methods. Okay, this is chemical. Or you can use a pure synthetic chemistry to synthesize it. In this case, again, you consider it as an artificial flavor. Okay, artificial or the synthetic. Okay, for US, you claim it as artificial. In the Europe, you just claim it as vanilla flavoring. Okay, so in the Europe, right, whenever you see this vanilla flavoring, that implies it's artificial flavor in Europe. Okay, you cannot say natural vanilla flavor. Okay, so very different. Natural vanilla flavor and the vanilla flavoring is different. Yeah. If you're looking at the basic methods of legislation, okay, the two basic methods of legislation, there's this positive and the negative type. Yeah. So positive is only those materials that are listed are permitted to use. So you have a list. Okay, whatever's in the list, you are permitted to use. Whatever's not in the list, you cannot use. Okay. They believe that this, if you're using this positive list of methods, right, they offer the consumers with maximum protections. Yeah. Whereas the negative is when they will list out those exception lists, which means that those material that cannot be used, will be listed there. Anything not in the list, you can use. Okay, this is what we call the negative method. But these negative methods sometimes, right, can lead to loophole, which means that you say, hey, it's not in the list, I can use, but actually it's not safe to consume, for example, so the consumer is not protected. But if you're talking about negative list, right, you actually encourage the R&D of novel materials. Okay, it sort of like it promotes the research and development of more, because it's like whenever that is not listed as negative, okay, then that's why you can use it. Okay, but the problem is the positive one is the one is pushing. Yeah, the positive list method is the one that is pushing. The negative, not really. Yeah, because the negative part, the consumer is not fully protected. Okay, it's better that whatever is in the list, then you can use. Yeah. So above mentioned system may be combined so that some groups of material are controlled by positive while the others here. But this is still the system used in the EU, although it's gradually being superseded by total positive listing here. Okay, so positive listing is getting more and more strong. Okay, and is offer the maximum protections. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the just a few slides talk about the US regulatory requirements. Okay, so when you look back to the system, okay, for the US, the system that has been adopted in US since 1965 is the positive list. Okay, positive again is whatever is in the list you are allowed to use. Whatever is not in the list you cannot use. Okay. So the initial work was undertaken by the FDA, okay, Food and Drug Administrations, as part of this regulations code, okay. So at first, some 27 flavoring substances were evaluated and classified as generally recognized as safe, okay, GRAS status, presumably on the basis of long-term usage without any side effects. Yeah. Later on is being taken over by the Flavors and Extract Manufacturing Association, the FEMA. Okay, you can go to the website. It's femaflavor.org. You can check their website. It's still active now. Okay, this FEMA assists the FDA by using independent experts to evaluate the other flavoring ingredients that were known to be in the use at the time, classify most of them as GRAS, allocate the numbers from 2001 to 3124. Yeah, so each of the ingredient that is approved, they will give one number. So that's a lot. Yeah, from 2001 to 3124. So around during that time, yeah, around 1000 over ingredients are in the approved list. Okay. So FEMA later set up a panel independent expert to evaluate flavors material on behalf of the FDA. Yeah. So for FEMA, just a bit of introduction of FEMA. FEMA is comprised of flavor manufacturers, flavor user, flavor ingredient supplier, and other with the interest in the US flavor industry. Yeah. Okay. So you can, if you want to develop products in the US or sending to US, okay, you can check with FEMA. Okay. Go to the website and look at some of the things here. So legislation in US designated various categories of natural flavoring. Okay, as I mentioned, natural flavoring is being pushed more and more by the consumers because synthetic, they think that it's going to do their body harm, so natural is better. This part regarding the synthetic or natural, I have spoken in the previous lecture. Okay, so you can refer back to chapter 4. Yeah. For natural flavoring, some of the terminology is FTNF. FTNF means from the name fruits. Okay, so whatever that is from the fruits. Okay, so if you extract directly from the fruit, like for example, concentrated strawberry juice with added strawberry distillate. If you get this product out, okay, the concentrate plus you add in some strawberry distillate, you can have this as considered as a natural flavoring. Okay, or this WONF with other natural flavoring, as long as it consists 51%, okay, of concentrated strawberry juice, 45 with other fruit juice or natural chemicals. Yeah, so the largest one is 51%. Then you can consider that as the natural flavoring. Okay. Natural flavoring, there must be contain only natural ingredients, but the type and source is not defined. For instance, natural flavoring may contain ingredients from any other sources as long as they are classified as natural. Okay. So these are some of the terminology used in the US here to categorize as the natural flavoring. Let's look at the Europeans regulation, EU regulation requirements. For this, you need to refer back to the European legislation. Okay, looking at the regulation EC number 1334/2008. Okay, so this been it regularly updated. Yeah, if you want to see whether it has updated or not, okay, check the handout number 1, or you can go directly to this website. You can go to this website or refer to handout 1. Yeah, handout 1 is in your Times portal. Okay, for this, just a bit about the legislation. Okay, flavoring are used to improve or modify the odor or the taste of the food for the benefit of consumers, because consumer prefer something with flavor, okay, not bland. All right, so you add flavor is just to enhance the enjoyment to consume the food. Okay, so flavoring and food ingredients with flavoring properties should only be used if they fulfill the criteria laid down in these regulations. Okay, so very important that you must fulfill these regulations. They must be safe when used, and certain flavoring should therefore undergo a risk assessment before they can permitted in the food. Okay, so these undergo a risk assessment before they can use, again telling you that it's under the positive listing method. Very important, because it protects the consumer. If it's negative, whatever is not in the list you are about to use, how to protect? If that ingredient you use is not listed but is harmful to the body, the human body, then the consumer may get in trouble. Okay, when possible, attention should be focused on whether or not to use a certain flavor could have a negative consequence on the vulnerable group. So who are in the vulnerable groups? Pregnant women, elderly, sick patients, okay, babies, infants, and small kids here. All right. So the use of flavoring must not mislead the consumer, and their presence in food should therefore always indicate by appropriate labeling. That's why it's very important you follow the legislation. They say you can name it as natural vanilla flavors, or you have to say that it's a synthetic or artificial vanilla flavors. So in that case, labeling is very important, okay, to indicate what type of flavoring is there. So for those purposes, this regulation provide for a convenient list of flavoring and source material approved for use and on the food, set out in Annex 1. So you can go to this website if you want to see the whole list of flavors is being approved. Alternatively, you can look at handout number 2. Yeah, so it's in your Times. Condition of use of flavoring and food ingredients with flavoring properties on the food. Rules on labeling the flavoring. Okay, so you need to follow the regulations. For the next 3 slides, right, is more towards the definitions in the regulations. Okay, so I'm going to go through quickly, but the definition is very important. Okay, you must understand it, because this definition will tell you what it means in these keywords. You cannot simply use the keywords. Yeah. So when you talk about the definitions, flavoring means that they are not intended to consume directly. You cannot drink the flavor itself. It's meant to add into the food in order to impart or modify the odor or the taste. Okay. And the secondly is the made and consists of following category: flavoring preparations, thermal processes flavoring, smoke flavoring, flavor precursors, or any other flavoring or mixture thereof. Yeah, so you can make of any of these substance. Yeah, so flavoring substance shall means the definitely chemical substance with flavoring properties. Okay, so natural flavoring substance shall means, okay, for EU, yeah, EU, you need to come out, need to be processed from the plant source like vegetables, animals, or the microbiological origins. Okay, either in the process. Okay, process means that sometimes is that after the vegetable is being processed, you use that material to extract out your flavors, or use it to undergo fermentation to produce the flavor. Okay, that's mean the process. Okay, after process for human consumption by one or more of the traditional food preparations prepared in the Annex 2. Yeah. Natural flavoring substance correspond to substances that are naturally present and have been identified in nature. And for consumer, they are looking for more towards this, yeah, the C that I told you about. So when talk about flavor preparations, shall means products other than the flavoring substance obtained food, okay, from food by appropriate physical, enzymatic, microbiology processes. Okay, it can come from material or vegetables, and so forth. Yeah, very, very similar. Yeah, all these are definitions in the regulation, so that when you read the regulation itself, right, you know what it means by flavoring and so forth. Okay. Thermal processes means that is using heat treatment or so for all the cooking conditions. Smoke flavor means that obtained from fractionation, then smoke yielding primary smoke condensates. Smoking flavor is when you burn something, you create the smoke. Okay, when you get that substance out from the smoke, okay, that is the smoke flavoring. Yeah, okay, it must be natural. Yeah. So that's why it's the smoke condensate, which means that after you smoke, you condense the smoke substance, and then that will be used as the flavoring substance. Flavor precursors we have mentioned a lot of times. Again, you can see from here the definitions. It not necessarily have flavors, but the flavor precursors, once it's being reacted, it can produce flavors. Okay, it can be either break down or react with other components. Flavor precursors. Okay. Other flavors, flavoring shall means the flavor added or intended to be added to the foods in order to impart the odors or taste which does not fall under the definition B to G. Okay, just now what I mentioned. Okay, food ingredients with flavoring property shall mean a food ingredients other than flavoring which may added to food for the main purpose of adding flavor in to it or modify its flavor which contributes significantly to the presence in the food or certain natural occurrence under undesirable substances. Yeah, source material shall mean something. Okay, all this not very important. Okay, appropriate physical process means that not just modify the chemical nature of the component of flavor without prejudice the listing of traditional food preparation process in Annex 2, and does not involve inter alia the use of single oxygens, ozone, inorganic catalysts, metal catalyst, organic, and so forth. Yeah, okay, means that the physical property is more towards the natural. Okay, because you are not supposed to direct modify it, rather you need to through a natural process. Okay, like fermentations. Okay, like enzymatic reactions. Okay, all these are considered as more natural type of the processes. Yeah. Okay, traditional food preparation process, you got all these chopping, coating, heating, drying, distillations, evaporation, fermentation, filtration, grinding, microprocesses, like enzymatic enzyme using enzymes or bacteria, yeast, or something like that. Okay, mixing, peeling, percolations, okay, pressing, refrigerations, roasting, squeezing, stepping. Okay, so all these are considered as natural. Okay, so percolation is filtrations. Okay, it's more like moving the fluids through a filter. Okay, maceration is like breaking apart. Okay, the tissues. Okay, so when you're looking at the EU, okay, so I have mentioned this already. Okay, please check again. Okay, for the natural flavoring. Okay, for EU, what is more or less is what we have mentioned just now in the examples that I given. Okay, if you are still not clear, check at this one. Okay, slide number 5. Okay, last but not least, okay, the international regulation requirements like in Malaysia and so forth in the Asia countries, more or less we follow the JECFA, okay, which is the Joint Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, FAO, World Health Organization, and so forth. Yeah, okay. So the local government like the Malaysian government, they more or less they will refer to the FAO and so forth. Yeah, it was set up in 1956. Okay, to evaluate the safety and food additive, residue or organic drugs in food, and natural occurring toxicants and contaminants in food. JECFA serve as a scientific error board to FAO and WHO. Okay, the member states and the Codex Alimentarius Commissions, okay, Codex, primarily through the Codex Committee on Food Additive and Contaminants. So more or less, we still refer back to the Codex, okay, so the Malaysia is really good with that, yeah, okay. Malaysia governments, any other governments, they usually refer back to this FAO or the WHO. So the committee established acceptable intake on the basis of toxicological data and related information on the substance being evaluated. Okay, he also developed general principles for assessing the safety of chemicals in food, the requirement to keep up to date with scientific development in the toxicology and related disciplines necessary as a constant review of the evaluation procedure. Yeah. So at the moment, a lot of ingredients are being listed in the positive listings, but as soon as they found that there's some data that indicates they may be harmful to the humans, then they will need to update the positive listing to take out that ingredients. Okay. So the JACFA evaluation are taken into account by both the FEMA and the European Food Safety Authorities in the evaluation of the safety offering for the US and the Europe respectively. So you can see that these three, the international, the US and the Europes, are tying down very closely. They try to, although they are independent, but their legislation are very similar. Okay, very similar, so that they are consistent in their regulations. Okay, if not, if it's too big gap, there will be a problem for manufacturers. Yeah. Okay, they will need to like manufacture this product for EU, this product for US. Okay, very difficult. Yeah. Okay, so it's good that more or less they are trying to align with each other. Okay, the regulations. Okay, so I will stop here. Okay, for the chapter 5. So remember, this week you have the midterm as well. So please complete your midterm before the end of the week. Okay, so if you have any questions, please ask in the Padlet. If you got no question, please indicate in the Padlet no questions, yeah, with your name and your student ID so I can take attendance. Alright, so thank you very much. Okay, good luck for your midterm as well.